All right, so we'll call the regular Board of Selectmen meeting for August 5th, 2024 at 5:30 PM to order. Attendance, we have Selectwoman Jude Reed, we have Selectman Jim Lampos, and First Selectwoman Martha Shoemaker. We also have some visitors in our audience that may or may not come up to speak. All right, and information items, communications, and correspondence. Jim, do you have anything that you'd
I
like
have
to?
nothing to report this week.
Jude?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a couple of things. There is a golf cart issue Scott Bollinger let me know of down at the beach, someone who's parking in an illegal spot, and we'll continue to monitor that. We also had some concerns about minutes being posted on the website for a particular board. And I just want you all to know that I checked with the town clerk's office. It is not my responsibility to see that chairs place their minutes on the board, and it is theirs. And if it's not up, the people should contact the board chairs who are supposed to put their minutes up. Meaning, any votes, record of votes should be done in 24 hours. If there's no record of votes, then that's another thing and they can get their minutes up. And many times in the summer, we've had delays because people go on vacations and that just happens and we try our best. A couple of concerns about tax office. Just basically, and only 2 out of 7,500 was pretty good, or whatever. We also had a concern about a tulip tree on Browns Lane. Tom Degnan took care of that. We had a wonderful letter from a resident that said that their daughter received absolutely excellent care from the Lyme Ambulance Association and the EMTs. So that was wonderful news. We had issues about the geese at Haynes Park. And Mr. Bugbee took care of that for me as far as reaching out. There are people, of course, concerned with the water testing from Ledge Light and sometimes the swim advisories, and to let me know that it's not the people's septic tanks that are polluting the water, but it is the water coming down from the Connecticut River on some of the overages, and we are aware of that. It's also sometimes just a heavy rainstorm that can throw the water testing off. And we appreciate so much that Ledge Light goes back and retests and gets it back to us as soon as possible. And then we have some issues with White Sands Beach, the private association, that if you're looking at White Sands Beach, it's to the left and they have another type of outlet such like the sluice way at the crib on White Sands. And flood and erosion control is working on some of that with them as well, but we've had some concerns because it's been clogged and we've needed some help. So all of those issues were things that I heard about over the last few weeks. Public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to make public comment today? Don't see anyone online, so we'll start with Mary Daly. We'll start with you. Are you yes? Okay. Come on up and
You can share this mic.
Share the mic because we can't get one.
Thank you.
You can pull it down. Okay.
You can hear me, right?
We can.
I can.
Hi, I'm Mary Daly. I am here again seeking your guidance. While serving as a member of the Lyme WPCA, I have repeatedly been denied access to essential documents and information, which has made it impossible for me to make informed and intelligent decisions as a member of the Lyme WPCA. On May 22nd, I sent a formal written request to the WPCA chair asking for documentation regarding the New London IMA that the WPCA would be voting on the very next day. My request was denied. And to the best of my knowledge, no one except the WPCA chair was allowed to read that agreement either before or after the WPCA was requested to vote on it. I also requested documentation on the deep forgivable loan, and again, my request was denied. And although the chairman reported that design reports back that design decisions, moving the dioxide station or to minimize the stench from the wet wells, sharing pipelines, adding or removing meters, has been ongoing. When he states we have decided regarding these modifications, he is not referring to the WPCA, but rather to the Alliance, an ad hoc group of private beach association plus the WPCA chair. The Alliance has no oversight. Their meetings are not open to the public, and they do not provide meeting minutes or agendas. I have asked for minutes, agendas, and meeting notices regarding the Alliance and have been denied. Now I hear that Tsunami has requested a town-wide public meeting on August 27th, where he will support sewers as the only option. And he has requested the private beach associations to rally their troops to support him. Conducting this town-wide meeting to support sewers as the only option is never discussed at any WPCA meeting. On July 15th, the Board of Selectmen was presented with a slew of glossies regarding the proposed sewer project. None of this material had ever been discussed or reviewed at the WPCA meetings. Perhaps the Alliance had input, but not the WPCA. The reevaluation of costs to individual homeowners that was presented that day was never discussed at the WPCA. The numbers presented by Tsunami for the sewer project just don't add up. There's no explanation as to how the new liability is suddenly only $5 million, well below the previous estimates. DEEP's offer of a $15 million forgivable loan is to address the inflation factor recognized by DEEP and bring the liabilities back to 7.4 mil. It is not reducing it. The WPCA has consistently refused to correct their inventory of properties and insist on working with outdated property information, which disproportionately shifts the financial burden from the private beaches to the town, and have also refused to clarify whether Hawk's Nest is included or excluded from their calculations. Tsunami has told you that 85 to 90% of Sound View Area B properties will pay approximately $22K in assessments, without disclosing if this fee is per EDU, per property, or what's included in that number. And according to the last published assessment table, only 27 properties, those under 500 square feet, would pay $21,000, and all others would pay quite a bit more. Tsunami has emailed that the $22K does not include the cost to the homeowner to decommission the existing tank, to dig a trench from their home to the curb, or to connect to the lateral. It is estimated that it would cost $5,500 to decommission a tank, $8 to $10 to dig a deeper trench and install a new pipe, conservatively, and from the home to the curb, and as estimated by the WPCA in the past, $6K to connect to the curb, from the curb to the sewer ladder. Those charges add up to an additional $20K plus for a property that is not included in the chairman's deciduous $22K estimate, nor covered by DEEP's 20-year plan loan. It's obvious that no one can honestly estimate what this project will cost your constituents until all factors, including unresolved agreements with Amtrak, Point of Woods, paving, etc., are determined. I believe it is premature, therefore, to hold a town meeting on the cost of sewers before the main components go out to bid again. And until then, it's just glossy guesswork. Chairman Tsunami created a WPCA subcommittee on alternatives to sewers, which I serve, but does not personally believe in alternative solutions. There are less expensive and less intrusive alternatives that have been approved by DEEP and successfully implemented in other coastal Connecticut towns around us. Dave Potts of Geometrics is scheduled to speak at the August 13th WPCA meeting about what his company has to offer to communities such as ours. These are solutions that will save our groundwater and retain our autonomy. Simple, green, affordable solutions, and I urge you to listen on August 13th. The Alliance request submitted by Tsunami for Devon Carney to override state legislation to allow them to create a.
It's okay. It's all right. We're just having a technical difficulty for people online. Jen, would you just ask Katie? I'm sorry, Mary. I just want, people are online. I think when she did the edit to the timing, she may have cut them out. So we have people supposedly in on a meeting trying to listen, but they can't get anything. Thanks. Sorry, Mary.
Okay, that's okay. The Alliance request submitted by Tsunami for Devon Carney to override state legislation to allow them to create a regional WPCA consisting primarily of non-municipal members who are neither elected or appointed is a blatant and illegal grab for power. It is an end run designed to deny appointment-making power to the Board of Selectmen and over the municipal portion of any future agreements. This is unconscionable and must be prevented. The statement to Representative Carney that every member believes the regional WPCA would be the best and most efficient manner is an outright lie. We never talked about this in the WPCA. This was never discussed and never voted on by the WPCA. What we do know with clarity is that the Alliance has refused to communicate or allow any public input. The public is shut out. This is not democracy. Lastly, it is my sincere hope that a member of this Board of Selectmen fill the remaining empty seat on the online WPC with someone from your board, because clearly this committee needs your direct guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Put this in. Thank you, Mary.
Here,
Okay. This will be good.
We'll get that in a minute.
Yeah, it'll be
Thank
in the
you.
minutes. Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? Carolyn, we'll go with you, then we'll have Nancy, and then sir, you'll follow. Frank, are you doing that public comment as well? Okay. Katie's trying to get we may have people online as well, but we'll see what we can do.
Carolyn and Miranda, to this game over there. Couple of things I have concerns about that I'd like to talk to you about. Minutes of meetings, for one. I find often, I attend a lot of meetings virtually and in person, and I often find that there's far too little being said after people have said mounds of things. I understand that we need to edit and get the important points, but we're not even getting important points. And I want to give you a very concrete example. On July 15th at this meeting here, I told you that I was concerned about what was going on at board, commission, and committee meetings. Okay, you recall that? Yes, I do. Okay.
And what you said.
Yes, thank you very much. So in the minutes, the meeting minutes of July 15th, I will quote, it said, Carolyn agreed, Miranda agreed with Mary Daly's comments at last month's meetings. I'd like to know what kind of information that gave the public who was reading those minutes. Do you agree that it gives them nothing? Do we really think that our townspeople have to go back to a previous meeting minutes to see what Mary Daly had to say? There should have been at least the gist of what I said, not that I just agreed with Mary Daly. Would you concur? Would you concur?
We're not supposed to respond during public comment.
Okay, but it's just
We'll take your time.
ludicrous that we would get minutes like that, and anyone would think the only way to find out what the minutes were is come to town hall or somehow connect electronically to listen to the minutes, to read the full minutes, to get the gist of what is going on. So that concerns me a whole lot. Nobody should have to come and listen to a tape or, do the minutes online or anywhere else. We should be able to read the content of at least the very essence of what people are saying here in town. My second concern of late is public safety in the Ojai Police Department. We're down to 4 officers again and some more. We went with 3 officers for years during the pandemic because somebody was suspended on leave, whatever. And that just, it doesn't work for the town. We have no overnight coverage. If we have somebody knocking on our door with a gun or wants to come in and we have to rely on Westbrook getting here maybe in 20 minutes if we're lucky, that's a real concern. We don't have enough patrols during the day. And I'm almost appalled in looking at salaries in this town for starting officers. It's abominable to think 59 and 60, early 60s for a job where they go out every single day putting their life on the line for our townspeople. That's all we think we should offer them as a starting pay. I think we need to recruit 2 more officers right now, not in 6 months and then in 6 months later. And if you say, well, they're not budgeted for, well, we have a tremendous surplus, don't we? Taxpayer money, rainy day fund. So we certainly, in the interest of public safety, could fund 2 more police recruits immediately or as soon as you can possibly find them. And part of the information I've been receiving is, well, you can't find the officers, you can't recruit them. Well, yeah, but if you did offer more money and benefits, you certainly would recruit a few and probably retain them as well. So I'm all in favor of helping our Ojai Police Department get up to snuff with numbers of people. We used to have 11 or 12 officers years ago, you know, and we had good coverage in the town. We just don't have that anymore. It's really scary when you can't get somebody to come immediately to help you out. So, and the last thing is, this is my second request. For you to ask Mr. Knapp to publicly apologize for the citizens in this town who have been egregiously and slanderously and insensitively treated by his crazy communications and talking behind people's backs about people, what he thinks of people. We're tax-paying citizens. We should not be treated like we've been treated in this town. We have a right to participate in government. If he doesn't like it, that we try to figure out what's going on and pay attention to what is going on in town and ask the needed questions so we can get some decent answers. Well, that's on him. I think he continues. So I'm still looking for a public apology directed by you folks. I also think he needs some more and continued sensitivity training and even better knowledge of how to communicate with people in the community. I was at a meeting just this past week. It was a quick, short meeting of zoning to extend their moratorium for storage units. And I asked a question before I made my comment. And he emphatically said that that's not what this meeting was for. You'd have to wait for another time. And then condescendingly, he told me 2 more times. I understood the first time. And people turned around and started to look at me. Now, what's the matter with this lady? Doesn't she understand? That's just so bad. Something else has to be done besides whatever you've done. It's just not what we taxpayers deserve. We pay his salary and we expect to be treated with dignity and respect all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, next, Nancy, I believe you're next.
Nancy O'Brien, I'm the president of the Hawksman Speech Association. Just a couple of things. First, I just want to start with Swan Brook. I want to thank Martha, Ed, all the members at Miami Beach who come down daily to clean up
Clean it
the
up.
crib.
Yep.
And when they don't clean it out, it kind of explodes on itself and the kids think it's a surfing issue. So I want to thank for that. I did see something in the minutes, and maybe you're going to address it tonight, but that there was a decision on waiving bids for the rebuild. Because, DACO has kind of suggested going with Matchnick. So hopefully you're going to be addressing that in today's update. We know that, when the crib went up, there were things that were left undone. The cross beam supports never got put in, even though we asked month after month. The bolts didn't get cut off until 3 months later. So we just want to make sure whatever happens this time around, we don't have some of those same issues. We still have that bolt that's kind of sticking out of that concrete. I know you and I have talked about it. I don't know if there's anything that can be done about it. Every couple of weeks, I get a member asking me when that's going to be removed. Somebody's going to get hurt. Excuse me. And if we could not drive the town truck down on the sidewalk to the beach to do it, if you could ask them to just park up on the top of the road, that would be great.
Are they doing that?
Yes. I went on the beach this weekend, but I had several people call me and ask why they could drive on the beach and they
With the
would get.
pickup, not a dumper, but a pickup.
Right up, pickup. We could do that. I see you have swim lines on, my pain that we've had, our swim lines didn't get it until July 15th. So, whatever we could do to also help make sure I know there was probably a lot of miscommunication and a lot of issue about the fact that even Hawks Nest was being done and that there's 2 Hawks Nest beaches that have swim line and 1 Hawks Nest beach that doesn't have swim line. So when you get ready to work on that, you want some help with our area and to volunteer to do that. And I think that is it that I want to bring up tonight. So thank you again for everything you've been doing with the crib.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Sir. Yeah, come on up.
I'm Brian Cornell, resident of the line on the Portland Avenue extension. I have 2 quick things for you. One is a request for you to follow up for me. On July 22nd, I submitted an FOI request to the town. I got an acknowledgement back that it had been received, and I haven't heard a boo. And this is August. So, and I was looking for information, I just do this briefly, looking for information regarding the Old Line Shared Sewer Project Alliance, formerly known as the Alliance. I understand that the WPCA chairman, Steve Tsunami, is also a chairman of that Alliance committee, and that there's been some discussions going on and possibly decisions made, because I don't go to their meetings, possibly decisions made by that alliance that may affect the town of Old Line Sewer Project. So requested an FOI request, copies of all of the alliance written agendas, meeting notices, meeting minutes, and emails. Haven't heard boo. So I just thought I'd bring it to your attention now, that I got an acknowledgement was received and zip. Okay. And the other thing I have is, as a resident of the town, the sewer project goes on and on and on. There's no straight answers. Townspeople don't know what's really going on. And as a resident and a taxpayer of town, I'm just tired of it. There's gotta be a way we can just shut this whole thing off. And I'm sure there's a way to do it. And just stop this whole sewer project once and for all. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good night.
Okay. Anyone else is anyone else in the audience? Frank,
Yeah, I would send it again.
for those people who are online,
Somebody that
please
has
mute
to
yourself.
contribute to the.
Please mute yourself.
Oh, okay. Frank Paparo, Swan, I had to mute myself, okay. Swan Avenue time. The allegations made here tonight by a member of the Oakland WPCA are very disturbing. I urge the selectmen to investigate these allegations to the fullest extent, and if needed and warranted, bring in a third party for the investigation. This must be done soon, regardless of the WPCA statutory authority, rules of order, as well as transparency must be observed. With respect to what Mary Daly has reported, for an unelected commission to support encumbering the town with millions of dollars of debt while providing inaccurate, incomplete, and misleading information to our elected leaders and citizens is stunningly arrogant. This cannot be allowed. As an unelected appointed commission, the members of the WPCA serve at the pleasure. Should any one or more of these serious allegations found to be accurate, as elected officials, the selectmen have a duty to take immediate action up to and including removing the offending party and parties from the commission. Thank you.
Can I have a copy of that too? Can I have a copy to put in with our minutes? Thank you so much, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay. Is there anyone online who would like to make public comment? Anyone online? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Public comment is closed. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Scott. Sorry, Scott. Come on up.
Scott Belanger, 18 Pond Road. On at least a couple of comments. Number one, thank you very much for taking care of the swim lines today. Thank you for responding to my texts or emails or phone calls between the crib and everything else under the sun that goes on down the beach. It's good to have different eyes and perspective. I appreciate that. I don't want to go into any detail myself at the moment with this group, but I do want to say that sometimes folks that come up here for public comment can speak with I guess, some knowledge and not 100% knowledge. So some factual information gets messed up, if you will. And I'll use a comment of Ledge Light. I've spent a lot of time myself recently on the phone with Ledge Light to try to understand, because it was news to me, of all the many beaches that, tested positive. I think it was an anomaly that happened that I can't find any records that actually happened that many beaches all in one testing. So it was good to talk to the folks at Ledge Light. It most likely was the heavy rains that were on Monday during the testing right after. We understand, or we should all understand as the public, that we could probably test the water every day at a little 100 liter vial, and at any given time find some elevated, we are in the sound. But that being said, it is alarming, and it's something that the Federation of Beaches, and I'm sure many other, which are all the beaches on the shoreline for sure, will be willing to work with the town in figuring out a better way to communicate. They do a very good job of communicating to the people that they have, but maybe we've come up with a way to educate our folks at the shoreline, but also come up with a common signage / discussion so that we have our residents, but mostly importantly, we have a lot of the public and people coming down here that have no clue. So if we have some way to notify people without this little teeny sticky somewhere that, folks know things, and I'm sure we can work as a group cohesively and figure out something that might work so that people are more informed. As far as the WPCA and all of that, the beaches have been working very hard together for over a decade now, trying to minimize the pollution that's going on. I think the answer has been apparent. The town was given an order to do something about it themselves, and very happy that the town has included themselves in the project. and we have been working very hard together. We are not a hot ad hoc group. We have a signed document that's been, went through attorneys and the state of Connecticut. We might have changed the name to call ourselves an alliance to make it sound good. Yes, there's been some discussions of trying to figure out how to legally form some kind of an entity with the four parties that will have a shared infrastructure. As far as the regional WPCA, if that gets approved or blessed by the legislator, we're trying to look for various ways to come up with a legal entity. So it's better than what was put together on pieces of paper with the state of Connecticut trying to get this project moving forward. I believe it's the right thing to do. Yes, it's going to be costly, and we're trying to minimize that. The state has been working with us along with legislators of trying to minimize the impact on residents. But I will know that there are facts out there. If you go over to Old Saybrook and looking at the many thousands of dollars that were put into private septic systems to try to make things work over there. And to this date, 10 years later, they still have not been able to rectify the problems on some properties. And my understanding, they might be looking at going into some kind of a wastewater process collectively over there, opposed to going from site to site. I do know factually there are many houses within the shoreline community that have upgraded their septic systems, not waiting for this, or forced by trying to buy a piece of property, and have spent anywhere from 35, which is a low figure, to over $45,000 per household.
Mhm.
And those are facts.
Yep.
So I want to at least try to work with the community as a representative of Miami Beach Association, which I do chair, our WPCA there. And we've been working very hard and trying to work with the town of Old Lyme and the other beaches to try to minimize the impact. Until it gets done, it's going to be a long haul. We've been working very hard at that. And everything we've gotten through the state of Connecticut is never's been done before. So I feel kind of proud to be able to work with legislators in the town of the state of Connecticut to try to minimize the impact of what we're trying to do here. At any rate, I thank you very much. I do hope this crib will move forward at some point. I'm tired of digging it out myself. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Okay, yes. Will you come up, please, so that it'll be on the recording? Thank you very much.
Hi, Michaela Peterson, 1 Portland Avenue. I wasn't planning to speak tonight, but some of what I've heard I find very concerning, especially the fact that there have been word requests for the minutes and agendas for the so-called Alliance group. This group, nobody really understands exactly how the town fits into that. Private beaches have done a tremendous job for their residents to try to contain costs and to try and make the situation work for them, but the town WPCA does not necessarily have the interests of the Soundview residents at heart, because they are not going to be the ones paying for it. Soundview residents are. So I'm just very concerned that we have people making decisions for the town that can bind the town, because you can only assess up to a certain level, and the rest of the town can be on the hook for whatever overage there is. And I think that people don't really understand that. And that we have the fact that we have people signing documents that can bind the town who are not part of Soundview. There's very little disclosure. I just think there needs to be a lot more transparency about why are there no minutes, why are there no agendas, and why are the Alliance meetings not open to the public? Why can we not see the documents that should be made available? They want to rush to a referendum and to a town meeting, and we've seen no information. I just think a lot more information has to happen before we have any kind of a public meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis?
Yeah.
So,
I guess you're getting the tenor of what this meeting is all about. Regardless what your agenda says. I was approached to get onto the WPCA. I have. This is the most dysfunctional group of people I've ever seen. And I've been on the high school facilities committee for 10 years and center school, Mile Creek, and Consolidated. I have never seen a group of people that act like lemons. The chairman at 11 o'clock in the morning cancels a meeting because there's nothing on the agenda for him. But the following Monday, he's here with an 80-page document and slides until almost 8 o'clock that night we were here. This is insane. We have, as on our subcommittee, a gentleman who did contracts. He was a CFO, probably a little bit more knowledgeable as to what a contract is supposed to say and not say. Crickets. Nothing. We don't get anything. We get a piece of paper with two options, and you saw the paper. That's not the agreement that New London did. We want to see the documents. How am I supposed to make a concerted effort to go along with this charade? And that's what it is. It's a charade. This is a constructed coup to push sewers and nothing else. And that's all it is. And the private beaches can do whatever the heck they want. They have that power. They're pushing this on the 3 streets of your tourist area. You wouldn't do that on Lime Street near the museums or the art galleries. So why do it down Soundview in Area B? I am disgusted with this, and follow with Mary. I'm ready to push my resignation right in. And I've only been on this thing for 6 months. This is crazy. This kind of money is bantered around like it's nothing. This is our money. You know, Senator Marks thinks she's a great person. Oh, I'll get you $15 million. Whose money is it? Mine. Everybody else in this building's too. It's not right. No oversight. Somebody should be on his thumb. This is the Steve Tsunami, Rich Prendergast, dog and pony show. Now they want to do it again. This will be the 3rd time they've made a presentation in less than 10 years. Why? So we can have a 2-hour discussion and nobody can answer any questions? That's not how town government is. This is crazy. And I implore you guys to do something about it. He's a loose cannon. And how a town officer can go onto a committee and be the chairman of that private committee is beyond me. Beyond me. I just don't see this going. And if sewers come in, then White Sands better be included because that was a Rich Prendergast deal. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience for?
Can I just make one quick comment, a big comment? Our Olympic gold medal winner, are we planning any kind of?
We are.
acknowledgement or
We're
celebration?
working with his family to find out when he's going to be coming to town.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, let's approval of minutes. Jim, can I ask you,
Yes.
because my note taking is not as good, but if there's a change on any of those, will you just make them for me so that we'll have, so Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of our regular meeting on July 15th, 2024?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Jude and Jim, thank you. And are there any changes to those minutes besides what Carolyn brought to our attention, which is on page 2, Jim?
I did not see anything myself.
I had one on page 2, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph down. I think it's just a minor typo. It says treen down instead of tree down.
Okay,
Okay.
5th paragraph, tree down, the circle. Okay.
The other part of that line though says tree down in Browns Lane and pavement preservation project. So the two don't have anything to do with each other. They just happen to be included in the same sentence.
Okay, we'll check that in a minute.
So that line needs to be looked at. And that's all I had. Other than what Carolyn
And then
stated.
Carolyn, if you'll just
Right.
submit under public comment, and if you'll just circle Carolyn, Jim, in that, so that I can go back. I think it's on page 2, public comments on page 2,
Okay.
and just circle Carolyn, and I'll go back and try to do some research in the minutes. Okay, good. Okay. If there isn't anything else, corrections, let's call for a vote. All those in favor, with the recommendations and changes that we just addressed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any abstention, any nays, any opposed? No? Any abstentions? Okay, good to go. Now we need a motion to accept the special meeting minutes of July 29th, 2024. Is there a motion? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of our special meeting dated July 29th, 2024 at 1:30 PM.
Second.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Jim. Are there any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Any abstentions? None. Motion passes. Thank you for voting. Okay. All right, next up is special presentation Harbor Management Commission. And by the way, Scott Bollinger, Matt Lynch is the one who fixed your swim line today.
Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Matt is doing the presentation.
For Harbor Management.
Yeah, our chair and co-chair couldn't be here, so they passed along a few things for me to talk about. Our first thing is we've completed a stewardship assignments and seasonal cleanups of all the water access properties. So this is Pilgrim's Landing, Smith Neck Town Landing, Horse Neck Creek, the Dinghy Dock, and Berry Landing. And at all those places, they're in the process of purchasing signage that is going to mirror the open space signage. So that's currently in the works. We continue to utilize online mooring for our permitting of all of our moorings online, which is it makes it easier for me. Anybody can go online to onlinemoorings.com and you can actually see where all the mooring positions are actually supposed to be. So that's all online. We just recently applied for 2 SHIP grants, Small Harbor Improvement Project Program grants. One is to expand the town dock. The other one is for dredge work at the entrance into 4 Mile River. So hopefully we'll be finding out about those soon.
Can you remind us the town dock is down by DE?
Yes, between Deep and Old Time Dock. Right now, it's just an L-shaped dock. And I believe the plans are to extend 3 slips out into the river. So you'd have 6 total, 3 on the north side and 3 on the south side.
Are they for emergency use or how does that work? Do people transients stay there?
Yep, I believe 2 have to be designated for transient dockage. The rest, the fire departments put their boat there. If anybody at Deep, any local agencies, so there's definitely going to be space. I believe there's 1 slip that can take up to about a 45 boat if for some reason the Coast Guard needs to stop there. So that one sounds like it's pretty likely, but we'll hopefully find out soon.
transient boat, because that's something that we would, I know that sometimes if you go to Fisher's Island, Block Island, using mooring or something, you get charged for a transient boat.
I don't believe they've talked about any sort of fees yet. I know we do have two town moorings, off Cavs Island, which are, free with a 2-night max. So I'm not sure
Okay.
if it's gonna mirror that or.
Do they contact you? Right, do they
You
monitor?
You monitor that or somebody?
Like if somebody's there for 2 weeks, does somebody get a notice saying?
They honestly
Out of
get
here.
used, pretty infrequent.
Okay,
There
Okay,
was
people
one
don't
out there
know
that
about it.
was
Yeah.
an extended stay while his mooring got squared away.
got it.
And Matt, do you know the last time 4 Mile River was dredged? Seems to me it was fairly recent.
So it's not, so this is the entrance. So this is south of the railroad bridge. I wouldn't know offhand if that's even ever been dredged. Sounds like part of the problem is the state is replenishing the beaches on the east and all that sand is now coming in front. So that probably a quarter mile south of the railroad bridge, is getting filled in pretty good. There's a whole bunch of moorings, for Point of Woods, that are all in. It's pretty shallow in there. I think a few people even have to walk their boats at low tide, so.
Not bad.
Let's see, we did have, an enforcement on, having everyone come into compliance with Connecticut state mooring balls, in terms of proper white ball, blue reflective stripe and being marked. So that has been all set. And then coming up, we need to have some good discussions on the swim lines and everything that's associated with that in terms of who's going to be responsible and the best way to get them put in and taken out and pretty much everything involved with, I'm going to call it the management of
Right.
the swim, the whole swim zone areas. We do have a permit in for the town beach at White Sands. That permit is in review, should be good to go, hopefully. Deep has another 75 days to review it, so we might not know for a little bit, but everything should be good to go so that next year we will have buoys and swim lines out there.
And those permits, once they are granted, they are good forever?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
And then there's a few town ordinances that we would just like to get cleaned up, which will at some point make a list of that, so that can come to you to match our plan. Some of the ordinances don't match the town ordinances don't match the plan, just to have everything line up a little better.
You mean about using waterways or beaches? What are the?
Mooring.
A lot of it has to do with moorings, but anything. I would like to review all of the water related, especially in terms of no wake areas. The back river, jet skis fly through there 50, 60 miles an hour. It's already according to the state. They're not supposed to be doing that,
Right.
But I wanted to put a buoy out there, and the state says in order to have a no wake buoy, we need to get some town ordinances.
So
passed.
you are responsible for the river and the sound and Rogers Lake or not?
No lake, only, I can say saltwater,
Right.
the river and sand.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Matt, I know that we talked about you enforcing, and is it my understanding that for you to be able to enforce, you would have to go to school for 6 months? Is that correct?
Yes, so, state, so I'm appointed by the state, so technically I'm state, not part of the town. Legally, if I was post-certified, I could, write tickets, arrest people, pretty much everything that police officer can do just on the water. However, I am not post-certified, and that is a 6-month, state school to go to.
My concern would be there'd only be one certified on the boat when, if you're arresting people and things, maybe it wouldn't be.
I have no intentions. I'm not a police officer. I like to call it voter education. Hey, this is the no wake zone. This is where it starts. This is where it ends, and then if I see him out there continually, I can make a call to Deep and if we can get him out there. However, there are a lot of issues at the beaches with people going too fast within feet of a swim zone, let alone 200 feet. If there's a way that I can write a ticket, I think that might get the point across a little quicker. I think me being out there has helped a little bit. But I'm seeing the same people now.
Same offenders.
So can the police department ticket or only somebody?
If it's a state voting law, it would have to be a state police officer, because I don't believe your town officers can enforce
Okay.
state law. So everything out there that has to do with boat speed, if you're a regular boat, if you're within 100 feet of swim zones, another boat, a moored boat, a buoy or a mooring or anything like that, you're supposed to be 5 miles an hour or no wake if you're within that 100 feet. Personal watercraft, which is a jet ski, are 200 feet from that. So everything you see off of, say, Sound View, well, jet skis are supposed to be at more or less idle when they're 200 feet south of all the moorings there, not going through the moorings, not coming up to the swim line, and certainly not going up the swim lane. So that's state law. So that would need an NCON officer out there
Okay.
to enforce that currently. But I can ask and figure out if the town has that as a town ordinance, if one of your town officers can enforce it.
Got it.
And how do you do the boat lane itself, enforcement, and who would be responsible for enforcement within the boat lane coming into Soundview and on the immediate intertidal area?
So I'd say that probably either falls to myself or NCON.
So the town would have.
A lot of towns have marine patrols, and again, I know the town police department is stretched about as thin as it can be, and I can't see them getting out on the water for marine patrol, at least not currently.
And if, like, for instance, if there are jet ski violations right on shore, who do you think is best equipped to address that? Or
If
legally, who can do it?
Honestly, I'm not sure what the best way to go is. Once they get on shore, if we're out on a boat, I can't dock the boat and go up there. It's almost like you really need both sides, shore side and.
But harbor masters are not the only one who can become post certified. Someone else could. A retired person, maybe with a.
The state does allow for a line to have a deputy harbor master. So the state pays, I think it's $300 a year.
I knew it was really lucrative.
So that is an option. If we can find a recently retired police officer that would want to be a deputy harbor master, that is post certified. Because when you retire, the post certification doesn't go away. I think you have it for a few years still. I'm not sure what you need to maintain it, if being a harbor master would qualify for that part. But that is an option as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can I have a copy of your remarks, just because it's easier for
Sure.
us to do the minutes if we have a copy? Thank you so much. All right, thank you so very much. And Matt, thank you for taking care of that situation today.
Yeah, no problem. We'll just have to keep on fixing it for this year and then get it started.
Okay. Okay, gone to new business. We have our Road and Public Safety Commission. We had 3 additional people apply. I sent all of those to you. This is what our list would look like. Sorry. These did not copy well, but I can tell you who was appointed last time.
Good. Thank you.
All right, so the only, we still have no one for 4 Mile River Road. But in Laysville, we had added Michael Fox. We already had appointed Amanda Siegelson. And then we did not appoint anyone for Sill Lane.
Right.
And that's the only one. So we just have Michael Fox possibly for Laysville, and there are 3 to choose from for Sill Lane.
Can we discuss, or do we have to make a motion? What's going on?
Usually the right way for Robert's rules is make the motion, then discuss.
Okay,
And
I'd
then-
like to make a motion that all 3 people listed under Sill Lane be appointed as we do not have a full contingency of 12 people.
Mhm.
And I know the 3 people who have applied for Sill Lane feel very, very strongly about this for reasons the same way Andrea Fenton did when had someone hit their house, and
Right.
other people have witnessed a school bus accident, things like that. So I would make a motion to expand the list or have all 3 accepted for Sill Lane. Mainly because we don't have anyone from 4 Mile River right now, and at least we could get started.
Can I ask if you would amend your motion to include Michael Fox for Boston Post Road?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that Michael Fox, who would be a representative for the Laysville area, and Jared Bombassi, Sarah Monday, Rosemary Padavano, all 4 of them be appointed to the Traffic and Public Safety Committee.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just for clarification, under Blackhall, we have both of the Fentons.
We did only
But we only
appointed
appointed
Andrea.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. So
That's why I'm sorry. It is, when I tried to copy it,
that's okay.
it
Yeah,
just did not come across with
you tried.
I tried.
I think we have a good group of people who have volunteered.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I don't recall our exact charge, but did we make a hard stop on each area, that
You
each
said-
area only gets 2, or do we have leeway there without?
We said 2 for each area at that point in time, but as I said, we have had no one for 4 Mile River Road apply. And we have put out the advertisement, I would say 3, possibly 4 times in newsletters and on the website.
We had it for 12 members.
Yes.
So that's why
Yeah.
I'm willing to be flexible a little bit.
I would, as long as we're not violating our own charge, I would agree, because Sill Lane definitely lit the fire under us to get this done. I think it's really necessary, and I appreciate the work that,
And there's still 2 openings.
that everyone did there. Yeah. And I know hearing from people that have been appointed already and hearing from people in town.
Yeah, moving,
So
right.
Let's do it. You know, I would
Okay.
say.
Okay,
And we know things change.
Yeah.
right,
People come and go.
right. Okay. So hearing no further discussion, call for a vote. All those in favor of appointing Michael Fox, Jared Bombassi, Sarah Mundy, Rosemary Pando,
I don't know.
and
Padavano.
Padovano,
Mhm.
to the Road and Public Safety Committee. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay.
I would suggest maybe in another Selectmen's Friday comment or memorandum you do, that you mention that we still have 2 openings, and especially South Lyme and 4 Mile.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Thank you. Can do that. All right. Appointment for an ex officio conservation committee. Suzanne Thompson is the rep to our conservation committee in town as the gateway representative on that committee. And therefore, her term is ending and we need to reappoint her as an ex officio member. So I need a motion to that.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Suzanne Thompson, ex officio to the Conservation Committee.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify. Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? None. I don't know why we go through this, but it's okay. All right, approval of refunds for tax overpayments. Suzanne did provide us with a list. Suzanne, I don't know if we need too much information, because remember, we do have, I can approve up to 2,500. So many on this list are way below 2,500. Listed here.
24, 25. If you add a couple of them together, a household comes up to 2,500.
Some are under 25.
Most of them, if you have 2 where people have made overpayments electronically and
Right.
did not intend to, and so requested that those can be backed out. And once we confirm with the banks that the money did come in and is there, yes, we certainly refund that. That was not.
So the date of the overpayment is not reflected here, just the date of the request.
That's right.
So some of these may be old.
A little bit, but actually, like June-ish.
Okay.
We have a few car refunds where somebody wanted to see what the 2023 bills. come
I
out
see
to
that.
be.
Yep.
And then it was like, okay, they may have a supplemental bill coming in December, January, but it's like, let's go ahead and tighten things up and get this money back to them.
On the, let's see, the one for $2,058. Is that just one overpayment and is it old or pretty recent?
It's just recent. The couple that you have together here, that if you add that 2,058 to the other three payments, those were three car payments plus a house payment. Made the 30th.
I see that.
And the same with the next one. These were just made the 30th, 31st, end of the month.
A
And
lot of money.
yeah, that's one of the challenges of electronic banking.
I was wondering about that because I see two people that have multiple overpayments on the same day. I assume it was at the end of,
Right.
the
I
last day.
would not recommend that people wait to the last couple of days because a lot of towns use the same services.
Mhm.
And our town may be not that many. People have already paid just the sheer
The volume.
volume.
Yep.
Right. And the bank as well.
You-
You could catch in three different places.
Do you see any sort of systemic problem that's endemic to the online system where things are getting double paid? Is there like a
No, not
software
this year.
glitch or does it-
Let me give you a little snapshot. Last year at this time, we had run through 15.944 million. This year we've run through 15.548 million. Last year it was 1,900,000 and some. This year it's 2.6 million as of today that are using the option of either the ACH check, which is only 50 cents to process online, or credit debit card, which is 3%. All towns basically are hit with that same 3%, if they say. The only problem is you get to the 30th, 31st of the month. And if people hit the button a couple of times, I think we've only had 2 or 3 of these situations. I do want to add some more language to the website that says, hit it only once, get your confirmation from your credit card.
And especially as we get closer to the end of the month, the system slows down because there's so many people in it.
So you say you can pay with a credit card,
Oh, yes.
like an American Express or Visa or something like that, or only?
I don't know if we take Amex with the higher percentage.
Right, but my experience was it had to be like a debit card that withdrew directly
No,
from your bank.
no.
balance. So now people can do this and get miles.
Credit, no, well,
That's
you get your mileage points, but you will pay a 3%
A premium.
service fee. Just like if you try to pay your federal income taxes with the
Got
credit
it.
card, we'll add 3%,
First.
but you'll still get your air. points if
Well,
you
some
pay
people
that.
ask that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
No,
So-
rates are very competitive.
Suzanne, and I'm looking at this, and Jim and Jude, you can weigh in, but because of the one taxpayer, Lori and Mark,
Yep.
they are separate in that Lori owns a car, Mark owns 2. Those are not in excess of 2,500. So I don't think we should lump all 3 of those car payments into the 2,058.
It's not, right?
What do you mean?
These are
Well,
individual
those are
payments.
only- that was one family that went over total 2,500. So I just don't think we,
Want to look at it that way, but I did.
because they're individual taxpayers. So I wouldn't say that we have to approve that.
Oh, no, I
That's-
agree with you.
okay.
I tend
And
to
then-
agree with you because each payment is not by one, I mean, you know what I'm
Right.
They're individual accounts.
You want to ensure
So
that
basically-
you've adopted, yes.
Right. So I would say Denise Herrera is the only one that qualifies for us to sign in. Suzanne, do you have for total? I didn't total it.
It's public information or something.
$551.16.
Goes in our minutes. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
just-
an overpayment.
6551, you said?
Yeah, 6,551.16.
551 and 16.
How quickly can these people be reimbursed?
We're gonna
Especially on the large
We're
amounts.
going to have to check tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
To pick up tomorrow.
Thank you.
We have to verify that the banks have not They backed it out or did it?
I just need-
Sufficient funds for Anita and I will check that in.
Okay, good.
First thing, if possible, because Anita is willing to get this done.
Finance department. Right.
Thank you, Anita.
Okay, all right, so, we need a motion to, in the overpayment for Denise Herrera in $6,551.16. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Jim?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jude. All those in favor, any discussion? None? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of
Aye.
the? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. All right, moving on. Facilities Department. So, I'm going to try to explain this. Is Eric on? I don't think he is. He was going to try to jump on.
No.
All right, so I don't have copies of this, but we'll go through it. Two quick things. So the Facilities Department, together with the Fire Department, request that we change some budget applications under public safety, capital and non-reoccurring expenditures. So there were two things in for 24-25, which was at the Firehouse Cross Lane, a brick repair, and also at the Lime Street, replace a cracked heat and exchange. Those two totaled $7,800. What the fire department would like to do is to reallocate that $7,800 to the Boughton Road soffit and brick repair. So I'm going to explain this. But basically, the heat exchange that was supposed to be set was replaced in March of 24 and paid. Therefore, that request, and the request had been put into the 24-25 budget, so it was already
It was done.
the
Okay.
brick repair can wait until fiscal year 25-26 at Cross Lane. And they can make another budget request, but the rear soffit is required at Boughton Road, which became evident well after the budget process. Also cracks in the brick work around above the windows, which are budgeted to be replaced, and one doorway have been found. By the way, none of this is on the side of the building where the new expansion is going. And if the funds mentioned above are reallocated as requested, combined with the funds already budgeted for the Boughton Road, replace the east and west side windows, the repairs to the soffit, brickwork, and window replacement can all be done at the same time. The total budget would be for the project about $11,000. Like I said, we'd have 7,800 moving over. We've already put in 4 for the window replacement. So we'd have about 1,500 in excess in case they run into any type of a problem.
Great.
So we would need a motion to reallocate. And Jude, since you're on Board of Finance, I'm assuming this will also have to go through Board of Finance for.
I would expect that they're going to have to get and give Anita permission to
Reallocate. Okay.
reallocate it.
So we're going to have that, we'll go through that. and
We'll
put that on.
recommend it to them.
So we are recommending this.
Yep.
Reallocation
And we
to,
support
so if I can have a motion to support this.
I'd like to make a motion to reallocate $7,800 to the Boughton Road repairs specified wooden soffits,
Second,
windows.
Jude.
Second.
Okay, and any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none. Let's call for a vote. All those in favor of the
Aye.
reallocation?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, and the second thing from the Facilities Department is for the bus depot. We need new bollard covers. So we need 17 bollard covers, which are failing. They are in disrepair, and we need to replace those as soon as possible. Are you familiar with what a bollard is?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay. So,
So how much are 17 bollard covers?
$5,611
Shoot.
total. So we have the money in the bus barn account.
Okay.
We just have to approve it because that is something
The
that
expenditure.
it comes up as we go along and when we need things. So if we could have a motion to approve the bollard covers for $5,611.
Make the motion to approve the payment of $5,611 for 17 bollard covers.
I will second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Auberge, you're in the audience. You're up. We asked Mr. Auberge to come today to review his carryover request that had been at the last month's. We had some questions on those that we had gone over in July. Also to give us an update on the EOC expansion and his fire inspections. Hi, Dave. So Dave, we're going to start with discussion of carryover. Did 3 requests.
Actually, there were 4, actually 5. One got removed. We finished spending off the emergency management funds at the end of June, so we're giving back to Anita over 100,000, I believe it is.
Okay.
On the ELC architect and expansion funds, asking a carryover of that. We originally went out this spring for an architect proposals. All of the proposals that came back were far exceeding what we thought was an adequate budget. So we resubmitted out another request for architect fees. And we're in the process now of reviewing those. Those came in the 21st July.
I must have missed something. I knew it had gone out for RFQ. I didn't realize it went out for RFQs.
First, we started with an RFP or an RFQ, request for qualifications.
Right.
We reviewed those. We reapproached the architects and asked them for a proposal.
How many?
We got 3 or 4 back. They were all in excess of 100,000.
Okay.
The committee reviewed all of those, and then we went back, decided to go back out for rebid. This time clarifying the proposal and drilling down a little bit, giving more clarification of what we're looking for, also giving them an idea of our conceptual designs. From that point, we originally were able to get them published in beginning of July with a tentative return date of the 15th. Somehow the state program that we were posting this up on extended that date to the
Right.
21st.
Which was a Sunday.
We reviewed those, and now I'm in the process of doing a matrix on those to be able to sit down back with the committee.
Can we get back to the discussion and carryover? I thought we had.
This is part of it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. When I thought we were at emergency operations expansion
Well,
update. So
This is-
I didn't want to lose
It's one of
all
his
the.
carryovers.
Okay.
That's for the expansion.
Okay,
And that amount was what, Dave?
99,000.
right. Just under
and
100.
Just under.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm asking the board of selectmen to be able to approve the carryover to the board of finance. So we can continue with our quest on finding an architect.
Okay, we can do all 3 at the same time, or all of them at the same time.
Okay.
Unless there's questions on a particular one, or do you want
I
to do
don't
it
have
separately?
a question on it, but I think that one we might want to keep separate. It's a separate project. And because we're asking for RFPs, I think it's important that the town knows that a project like this would go out to town for bid
Which it went public
for the 100 grand or for the.
for the architectural fees.
Okay,
Architectural.
right, but I meant for the actual project itself before it's ever built.
Well, that's go out through.
Right,
The purpose of this funding stream is to hire an architect. to
Correct.
Come up with.
right,
Once we get those numbers.
right.
Being able to come back to the board of finance or going back to the board of selectmen. To be able to discuss what the
Right.
estimated construction cost would be.
I agree with you. I just want that clarification and that distinction so the public realizes we've not approved a building project.
Yes.
That's all.
I-
Okay. And I think that's important that is communicated that we are investigating. We are not taking on and approving.
Right, we did.
We approved the money for the architectural
We also
design, the
approved-
99,000.
We also approved his grant.
Right,
He received.
understood. Right.
Okay.
Which doesn't cover the entire cost, but it's 75%, I believe.
I don't know yet. Dave might guess it, yeah.
And then there were the other two carryovers. One was for.
Fire wells.
Right.
Firewalls.
And for-
So how much was the fire well carryover request, please?
The firewall carryover was, I was sitting on 2 fiscal years, fiscal year 21, 22 for $6,000. And again, in fiscal year 22, 23 for 5,500.
Okay.
And I provided extensive information on the carryover request. And then I was asked to come here, give you kind of a summary. Basically, the town of Bull in support of their last insurance services organization evaluation, identified a deficiency of not having firewall signage closed out. They went out and they put their signs
Right.
everywhere, and ISO bought that at that point. Looking at that, digging down deeper into the NFPA requirements and the ISO requirements for having rural water supply, suitable water supply, you have a number of other items and other requirements to it. What the fire department is complete or identified now is they have 94 fire well or water supply locations scattered throughout the town. What we recognize is we do not have any use agreements with those 94 sources. We have 31 public sources and we have 63 private sources. We do not have, the town does not have any agreement of understanding for fire department to go on a private property to do it. Part of the condition of these fire wells are spread out from immediately accessible to non-existent or non-maintenance.
Right.
Looking at moving forward with this, one of the requirements of the ISO and the NFPA 1174 or 42 requirements is one to have a hydrogeology exam of the site, being able to determine if it is suitable for a 50-year drought. Sounds like a
Good luck with that, huh?
And along with other
Mhm.
things. When we first started this program, working with the fire department and their volunteers, they kind of took some time to be able to get it. They put together a new team last year and were able to come up with a full listing of every fire well that's in town, its geographical location, its lat and longitude, and if it's a pond, a stream, a water supply, a draft site, or a tank. And also they did visual indications on it. Can they get to it? Can they access or what limitations are? At this point in time, based upon all the data that we've collected, I'm now ready to go out to Jacobson and Company, our associates, to have the engineering side look at. And it's taken some time to get here, and we've been carrying over this funds every year.
So is this a $5,000 and $6,000? It's nice to have that explanation. Thank you.
And also down the road, when we finish with this, being able to utilize these two funds for engineering costs, legal costs to come up with a memorandum of understanding within the
Right.
town. And if I have anything left, to start on maintenance.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
And was there another carryover for part-time labor?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
And also, here in your, radios.
Right,
Should
emergency.
be 25 ratings.
Right.
Yep. Where do you want to go next?
Whatever on top, thank you.
Part-time fire. And it's again in
What year is the carryover from?
22, 23,
And what's the amount?
24, 25. 2,425. So back in 2001, 2002, or 2021, 22, coming out of COVID, recognized that I needed to get assistance to get out and start doing our inspections again. Since then, did find a certified fire investigator and inspector here locally in town. Mr. Richard Smith, he does have roots in the community, but he also has a full-time job. And he and I came up with a plan to start working on Halls Road and then moving forward around the rest of the town. To date, he's done 64 of the commercial inspections between March 23 and May 24. Basically, I lost him during the summer due to the fact that he has children and kids are out of school. Moving forward with this, I'd like to be able to continue with it and continue to carry over to get all the way around town.
This, if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it wasn't just 1 year that we were behind. We seemed to be behind for an extended length of time, and that the understanding that I had was the money was going to be used to finally catch up.
Yeah.
Where are we now? Are we caught up and are we maintaining that, or are we falling behind still?
We're not caught up, but we're at, I guess, that I estimate about 75% of it.
So how many are left to be done? I mean, I think this is something we've been
Maybe
asking
30.
for a while. 30. When do those have to be done again? When does this circle
The
around?
cycle that we completed in February of 23 will be due again in February of 26.
I mean, I feel like we're in a catch 22 a little bit. If we don't spend the money, it's not going to get done, but will it ever get caught up and maintained so that we don't have to keep allocating additional funds?
What is Mr. Smith's availability to get things done?
And should we get someone else?
1 day a week.
He's only available to you 1 day a week.
Depends upon the season. During the summer, he's not available. During the winter time, modifying his workload, he gave me one, or, it would get 1, 2,
How many,
1 or 2 days.
how many inspections a year, excuse me, do you have to do?
By code or by,
Well, I mean, if they cycle every 2 or 3 years and we have 260, what's that, 90 a year?
give or take, yeah.
Not to mention special inspections.
Of course, of course.
To
But
date, this year, I've performed over 54 inspections,
Mhm.
specialty inspections.
Yep.
He has done the annual code inspections. So looking at that, just the two combined, his part-time and my full-time, you're looking at over 150 inspections. Does the position, it's the fire marshal's position now, allow it to be solely on one person? No, workload's increased. And
well, then maybe it's a staffing issue.
Well, we have, so I think,
I mean, I just don't want to keep continuing this cycle without fixing it so it doesn't
Can I
continue.
just get some clarification? Is it, these were funds that were allocated but not expended in these fiscal years?
correct.
And you're just asking for a carryover of those funds that were already budgeted for?
So,
Because the workload has been fairly, very substantial coming out of COVID. There was,
But prior to that, didn't we do this a couple of times at the Board of Finance? This wasn't just the first time. And the understanding was that we were going to try to solve
I
the.
thought it was for 2 years in a row, we gave additional money for part-time. I know that the Board of Finance thing, in most cases, they do not have a problem, carrying over something that's a project that is moving on, but this is exact wages. And wages tend to, really are not something, and I think Anita's on the phone, she's not listening in, but I think she would tell us as well that wages are not something that's usually carried over from 1 year to the other. And Anita, are you on?
I'm
You want to say anything?
Correct. Normally carryover is something that you have purchased and not paid for, or the bill hasn't come in. So it's gonna come in due, in the file, like say you ordered it in June, you're gonna pay for it in July or August. Or it's for capital, anything like a project. It's not for wages. Wages are only if the person worked in June, you owe them money, then it's carried over until July.
Thank you.
also being able to recognize back when we put together our budget, fiscal 23 and 25, we put in for time inspector. Wages each of those times.
So I think that, you and I had a little bit of a discussion this afternoon, but I think that we have to, put some things into perspective, and maybe the three of us, we should have a meeting with you, again, because I think basically just the inspections require another meeting. I don't think we can really.
I'm happy with
extend that.
everything else. I just,
I think that.
partly because it's wages and it seems to be a problem. That's a labor problem, not,
So I think this is a longer discussion that I don't think we have time for tonight, but I think we could set up another special meeting or whatever to sit down with you and go over it so that everybody's on the same wavelength.
right.
The other one is your radios that was also carryover. So if you could review that with us, please.
Never thought something as simple as getting on the state's radio system would be so.
That was your first misunderstanding. Getting on with the state would be simple.
And Anita and I have had conversations on this. Looking at what we spent to date and what was still was pre-existing in carryover. I was under the impression that this was always classified as a capital expense. Due to the prior financial management that we had here, that individual classified it as a capital, radios were a capital expense.
You misunderstood me.
Not you.
Oh.
Not you.
Okay.
Anita has guided me
Right.
to identify that purchasing a small amount or
Right.
a large scale major purchase is a general purpose or general fund item. So looking at that in the past, I always treated that as a capital expense because that's what we were informed that it was. Now that we find out that it's not, I still need the $60,000.
Is the, it's still there though.
Right now it
Okay.
is, depending upon this decision. But also moving forward in upcoming future budgets, we will work it differently now.
It's an expense.
Again, I can only go by what.
Well, you were advised, understood.
Yeah, because each individual
Is
radio
adjustments.
does not
Correct.
equate to a capital item.
And
It's just that we were ordering multitudes of them. All right, so, and that amount was what? 60
$60,000.
even, right?
Yes.
And what year was that?
That was in, I believe, well, the account number is 01300 1920 0010 -012. And I believe that should be in the 22 fiscal year. Anita, is that correct?
Check.
23, 24.
23, 24.
We don't usually carry them forward 3 and 4 years, so that makes sense. They'll have to be moved from capital, Anita?
Move from capital to regular expense, Anita?
No, it's in last year, so he would move it to carryover.
Okay.
Okay. But you still want to classify it as capital?
No, I'll take care of that part on this side.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of different carryover request.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take the first one is the EOC expansion at $99,000. Can I have a motion to move that forward to the Board of Finance with our approval?
I'll make a motion to move the EOC architect fund to the Board of Finance.
Yeah, it's already been approved by them, so yes. I mean, not the carryover, but they've already approved that 99 and
Right, so we're just saying that, yes,
you're
carryover.
approving the carryover.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Fine.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, for the engineering and legal expenses for the, fire wells. It comes to $11,500 for 2 carryover years.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Again, we are approving, Suzanne, we are approving these carryovers to go to the finance board, Board of Finance for approval. And any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Any opposed? Get that right someday. All right, part-time fire inspector, the rates on that were $2,425 from fiscal year. Do we have a motion on that? Or,
I'll make a motion.
I will second.
okay, further discussion?
I thought we had talked about having another meeting for this.
Okay,
So I think we should
Yep.
not approve that, or at least that's the understanding I have. And it's on hold until we meet again,
so should we,
because it's wages. This isn't.
Yeah, I mean, I would, if possible, I'd be happy to approve that right now, but if that's not the prevailing opinion, then we'd have a discussion.
okay, so all those, so we don't have a second on, or did you
I
second?
second it.
He's second.
Second, Jim. All right, so we can move to have this motion moved after further discussion, if Jude, you'll take it with that amendment?
I will take it without amendment. Money is held pending further discussion.
Okay, Jim, so will you second that?
I'll second.
Okay. So Suzanne, we are holding the 24-25 until further discussion, and we'll come up with a meeting date, which possibly we can do during a daytime.
And we might need Anita's input on that as well.
Yep, we can have that. All right, and the last one is the $60,000 for the radios from carryover from 23-24. If I could have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve $60,000 carryover to purchase of radios.
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Sorry.
Nope, that's fine. It's
Okay.
busy.
All right.
in my head.
So we are good.
Thank you, Dave. So you had to come in again.
No, we're good.
Oh, yeah, look, come on.
Oh, I'm sure.
All right. We
Thank
have
you.
a couple of things to update on Swan Brook Crib. Keith Nielsen came in to me last week with some plans. He had to go back and do a few other changes, and then it will be ready and it will go out to bid. So that is my project update for the Swan Brook Crib. We will get that out. We do have a template for the RF. Q, I think is what he said, or RFQ. And we are going to, Katie and I are going to work with Eric Knapp to write it because he just wrote one.
Mhm.
We have never really written one like this before. And Keith
Keith's
said he would,
input
Keith
is
said-
awesome.
and
Yeah.
Keith said he would look it over.
Yep,
But
he's
we'll-
great.
Try to save some money by doing it ourselves. That is the update on Swan Brook Crib. Until then, we will keep digging it out and moving along and praying that it holds.
No big
it is-
storms.
And no big storms.
Yep.
Although, all right, Tantamahake Landing, our update is that Kerma finally reached out to me at 2:30 this afternoon. Somebody from legal has been assigned to this particular possibly pending case. And he will be doing further research. And until then, we are on hold.
Thank you.
Golf carts, comes to golf carts. And I'm going to give you some information. This is going to be homework. We're not going to be able to come up with this right now.
We all gonna golf cart?
I wish. Let me.
I think Jim needs one. He lives near the beach.
I'm a golf cart kind of guy.
Huh?
I'm a golf cart kind of guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so At the top, you will see these are from Nancy O'Brien has provided us with some information from past years. So basically, as you know, the private beach associations of Lime Shores, Old Colony, Miami Beach have had golf carts and have their rules that they follow for their particular golf carts. Nancy at Hawks Nest, there is a letter from Tim Griswold dated back in 2009 that they received, basically somewhat indicating, I think that's on page.
Way back.
I think it's on
Page 2 of the second.
second page. And these are the ones that Nancy, you said you basically had in your windows of your golf cart saying that you could drive them to the beach,
Okay.
correct, Nancy? Yep. So that was there. However, we do have rules about golf carts on town roads and the roads that run to and from the beach, north and south, are town roads, and those that are go east to west are their association roads. So I've spoken to our police department and they would, of course, like those golf carts not to be on the town roads, but you can't get to the beach if you don't travel on those roads. So that's a problem. So this is not something that we are solving for this particular year, but we need to come to some sort of an agreement. And one of the things that we need to keep in mind is that we have a great program at Soundview that Frank put into place. And Wayne Collins inspects the golf carts, follows those rules. They get a license plate, they get a flag, and they pay $75 for a 3-year permit. And that was changed this particular year.
$70 for 3 years.
75 for 3 years.
75.
Yep. So
Okay.
it was 25 a year, but
And then it's re-inspected in 3 years.
yes.
Okay.
So the problem is that we don't have manpower, as
Exactly.
we know. So how do we go about inspecting the golf carts to make sure they're safe? And as we know, we had an incident over at White Sands a few weekends ago with a golf cart catching on fire. So we want to make sure that we're safe. So I provided you with all of this information. Vicky did a great job of doing some research for us on some other towns and how they go about it. And I would suggest that we read it and we'll put it on the agenda for a meeting later in probably September, because we can't do anything about this for this year. And we're going to need further research. We're going to need some discussions with Matt.
Maybe we can get Matt certified to do this when he's doing the ticketing on the water.
Yeah, remember when you said you bring the boat up on land?
there you go.
And then the golf carts? That would be-
Is this ordinance that we're proposing going to cover specific areas in town? Are we talking about a general town-wide ordinance or how we?
Well, we're going to have to do some homework on it because other towns don't have the private beach associations and they have an ordinance for their town. So we have an ordinance for Soundview, but Soundview is really town. So we're not trying to take away, but we need to make sure that we're all following the same rules. I think that we have to have some type of consensus that we want everyone to be safe. And I can't see any of the private beach associations saying, oh, we don't really care about that. I'm pretty sure they all want safety. And so I think we just have to come up with what we think is the best solution, have some conversations at the table with other players, what are their rules, ask the private beach associations for their independent rules and see what they have and see what we can come up with that follows suit. And then let Nancy here at the table. Nancy, I would assume you've got about 20 to 25 golf carts within the association.
So, yeah.
Yep.
You have to remember that we're just one part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
They are
Right.
just the investment.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, it's hard to come together.
Okay.
And our thing was, yeah, it's gotta be something like Sand, Rogers Lake, the town. I mean, it shouldn't be specifically for just any one beach because everybody's
Right.
Yeah. Big about the safety and making sure that it's licensed drivers that have them.
Right. So I think in your packets, you'll find East Lyme and possibly it was East Lyme and another town that both have their ordinances done. So read up on those, and if you see, someone in another town where it comes into play, and then let's see what we can do for the town of Old Lyme and get this on the books so that when we open beaches next year, we have rules and regs ready to go. Okay. The next thing on is swim lines for 2025, but there's also something else that we're just going to discuss too, because I don't have 3 copies of this, so I do have a map that's in here. So,
I have that.
pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Frank sent it out.
you have copies? Thank you, Michaela. All right,
Didn't
so
that come to us in an email from Frank? Yeah,
It's the same.
around 1 o'clock this afternoon.
so you may have, okay, thank you.
I have it. You have yours.
All right, so you have copies, but basically,
Do you want me to present it or?
yeah, if you
I
want
would like it because I'd like someone to explain the drawing a little more than just how I see it.
It's actually really simple once you
I'm
understand
sure.
what's going on. Okay, so we've had a lot of issues. My name is Michaela Pearson. I'm the secretary of the Soundview Commission, and I'm presenting for Frank Pappalardo, who had to leave. He's the chair of the Soundview Commission. We have had a number of issues with jet skis
Mhm.
in the Soundview area. Getting onto the beach, tying up to swim lines. There's been a lot of misconceptions about where they're allowed and where they're not allowed. So Soundview Commission got together with the Harbor Commission and Matt Lynch, the harbor master, at our last Soundview Commission meeting, and we had a very productive discussion about the use of personal watercraft and some limitations to keep them out of the swim area. On August 2nd, Soundview Commission had a special meeting and we approved this memorandum.
Right.
Which
Okay,
I will read to you.
thank you.
The Soundview Commission, in an effort to provide an accommodation for the safe use of personal watercraft, proposes the following compromise: a thorough review of the existing DEEP permit and history, as well as a site review with the Old Lyme Harbor Master was done. The proposed solution works within the existing permit conditions and will maintain and keep intact the existing permitted swim area. Therefore, will not require a deep permit modification. The Old Lyme Harbor Master has been consulted on this proposal and is in agreement. In accordance with the permit and the 1987 stipulated agreement between the town of Old Lyme plaintiff and defendants Frank Murata and Gary Nazzo, a 35-foot water taxi lane was established in the area directly southerly of the premises, known as Lyme Seaview Condominiums. Further agreed and established, westerly of the water taxi lane is a 13-foot buffer area, and easterly of the water taxi lane, a 35-foot area for a proposed swim area. See attached diagram. The easterly proposed swim area allowed for one of the defendants, Gary Nazzo, to apply for a proper DEEP permit. No such permit has ever been applied for. The proposed swim area easterly of the water taxi lane therefore appears to be available for discretionary use by the town of Old Lyme as permitted by the harbor master. With the proliferation of personal watercraft and the safety concerns associated with this area, a PWC anchor line is proposed to be fixed approximately 10 feet from the shore at low tide and extending southerly, that's into the Long Island Sound, as deemed appropriate by the harbor master. This PWC anchor line is for the exclusive temporary tie-up anchorage of PWCs. There shall be no overnight tie-ups, and PWCs are not allowed to be within 10 feet of shore. PWC anchor line is subject to annual permit renewal and may be revoked at any time due to misuse or safety concerns. The proposed PWC line does not affect or supersede any other rights or agreements of either the plaintiffs or the defendants of the stipulated agreement. So now I will go over the diagram.
Okay.
So what you're looking at is actually kind of backward. If you get it upside down,
Right.
it makes a lot more sense.
Yep.
Because then you're looking at the Long Island Sound.
Got it.
So you see the corner of Swan Avenue, and the issue had been that the swim lines this year were laid on the west side of Swan Avenue when the permit states that they must be on the east side.
Yep.
So what you're looking at, this proposed, so there's going to be the swim line ends at the east side of Swan Avenue, and then you have a buffer lane, and then you have the water taxi, which is the large area.
Yep.
Sort of right out from where it says 201?
Yep.
Okay, and then to the east of that is the little red dots. That's where the PWC line is going to be. So you're going to have the large swim area, which ends at the east side of Swan Avenue.
Mhm.
And then you're going to have the buffer,
Yep.
then the water taxi lane, which is
Yep.
just as it is. And then to the east of the water taxi lane, you're going to have the PWC line.
Can more than one personal watercraft tie up to that line?
Oh, of course.
Okay, I just,
Yes, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
what is it, anchor with multiple,
It will be
buoys to
kind
hook
of
up to?
what was kind of what was put out there before, but that was in contravention of the permit. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a line
And people can
that
hook up
is
to it,
10 feet out
Yep.
from shore and people just can come and tie up to it.
multiples, may.
Multiple.
Okay, I
Anything
don't
else?
see,
I just wanted to talk about the importance of the swim area at Swan Avenue. One reason we objected so vehemently is the town only owns two 40-foot rights of way to the beach. That's Hartford Avenue and Swan Avenue. The town owns nothing else that the public has access to. We have a town beach at White Sands, not a public beach.
right,
There's been a lot of effort in Soundview to accommodate all parties, because we have bars, restaurants, we have boating interests, we have swimmers,
correct.
and there were some bad old days around the year 2000. And there was stuff going on down there that was a public hazard, an environmental hazard. And a lot of people who worked on this together cooperatively over time to come to an accommodation. And part of that accommodation was revisiting the 1987 permit,
Mhm.
which in and of itself was an accommodation to begin with, to be able to bring a
Okay.
boat
Yep.
into the bar area and bring people off the sound and into the bars. So that was an accommodation, and that had kind of gone sideways for a long time, to the point where people were refueling jet skis on the beach and in the water. There were jet ski concessions, and worse. So we're not going back to those days, and that's part of the reason why we had this visceral reaction when the swim area, it was proposed that the deep permit be revisited and the swim area turned into a jet ski lane. So,
Forget it.
and that's not going to happen. The end of Swan Avenue must remain swim area and part of Soundview Beach, because that is all the town owns. We own Swan Avenue to the water. I can show you the deed that we own that. And we also have a deed to Hartford Avenue. And we own that to the
Right.
water. So that I know we're in solid 100% legal ground. That being said, I think we need to have some kind of an accommodation. I really appreciate Matt Lynch working with us, and Soundview Commission working on this. Again, it's always a balancing act down there. So it's kind of this is a change. So I would like this to only be in effect for 1 year, and then for us to review it, because if this doesn't work, I don't want this to be a new use.
It actually states that it says that it's subject to annual permit renewal.
Right.
And may be revoked at any time. So it will be up for review.
Yeah.
Every year.
Because if this turns into what it was, because we have not technically allowed jet skis into the beach area.
Right.
They're supposed to be out in swim lines. So this is a new permission giving jet skiers access, and has not gone well in the past. But I'm willing to go along and see if this works, and hopefully it'll be part of our balancing act instead of view that'll work as others have for the last.
So our jet ski ordinances, if we have any, and Matt, you,
There is not.
that it,
Say is if they're within 2 and 3 decibels, all they have to go slow. However, the deep
Yeah, what do we
permit
do?
states that in that boat, we'll call it boat lane, the water taxi lane, there aren't supposed to be any boats, no, so jet skis and anything, only one pavilion operated taxi.
right.
So this is a little bit different to that, and it's off to the side in an area that could be a swim zone. If that one, applied for one.
But they
Hopefully,
did.
we can't stop jet skis from coming, and hopefully if they know they got a spot to fly them. And if I'm out there, which I think I've been out there about 120 hours so far this year. When I'm out there, I know they all recognize me by now. Hopefully, if they understand, we're gonna have a label that's gonna be white mooring balls on each end, with some white floats in the middle, which designate white and blue for moorings. So this will be a 1-year issued permit from the state, and if there are issues, we'll take it out, and then we'll have to sort with all jet skis coming in again next year. So hopefully this is gonna be an organized spot for them that they know they can go if they go in slowly.
So Matt, is this a new line that someone's purchasing? Because I know the jet ski line that was up a few weeks ago was not blue and white mooring.
Right, that's on about a million. Let's talk with them about what the plan is. If it sounds like they're on board, I haven't talked with them about it.
Okay.
If this goes through, I'll go in there and tell them this is what you guys need. If they need to get a contractor, a mooring contractor, to be able to look in there and do that, so that it's in there. Not just these little yellow lines that are kind of floating everywhere, but it'll be white mooring balls on each end, white lobster box style buoys in the middle. And what they have is about 120 feet long. I'm thinking only 50 feet, 10, 15 feet off the beach at low tide, and 50-foot long. Jet skis are about 8 feet long, but they're only like 3-4 feet wide. So they tie off, they bang around it. They can get a good number on a 50-foot strip.
Okay.
I just want to comment that Frank Morata is on the sounding commission, and he sent a letter to this meeting stating that he was in favor of the
I
proposal.
was going to say, it sounds like he has
Yeah, he's,
always been in support of a safety. Well, I shouldn't say always. I don't live down there.
he's in
But
favor of this. So.
I can't believe he wouldn't be in
Yes.
favor of this. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if there's no further questions, we can call for a motion to accept this proposal and move forward with it for the remainder of the 24 season, of which we have about 4 weeks. But if we get it in, that's great. So can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept this proposal for the 20.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Would just put in the minutes that this is for renewal yearly, review and renewal.
Renewal yearly, for renewal.
Yeah, annual review. Yeah.
This is for annual review.
All mooring permits expire on the end of the year.
They do.
Every year or just this? Oh, great.
So does that mean we have to reapply every year?
It's an annual.
Yep.
And when should we start that permitting process?
The mooring permits, January 15th, and it's renewal, 2-month window to renew. That way you can file. So it's an annual permit, that's what.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. No further discussion. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor of this proposal, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Any abstentions? We're good to go. Motion passes. Matt, do your work. Whatever you need to do to get it happen. That would be great. All right. And also about swim lines. Yes, we need to have a discussion for 2025. There's been discussion to move it from Park and Rec to Harbor Management. Definitely to have some discussions on placement. There are some people who say, well, theirs is 300 feet out. Why can't ours be 300 feet out? So there needs to be some general discussions before we apply or reapply for next year. And like I said, that's going to be part of a bigger conversation. If we choose to wish to move this to Harbor Management, and we can cover this in September with all of us to decide how we want to do that moving forward. And the other item that I will tell you is that we are really going to have to look at some investment in swim lines and things like that that are actually true swim lines. And possibly if we do ordinances for jet skis, Matt has said that there are no wake zone jet ski type of things that we can put out into the boating area that will remind people in case Matt is not available to remind them for us. Okay, so moving on to old business, we have our tax relief for housing for lower moderate income persons, the tax abatement and the tax credits that BJ and Michael Carey put together. And we've had this on the agenda, so I really would like to move forward with a vote on this today. So is there, anyone?
This has not changed since our last
No.
review.
No. You asked last time at the meeting, you wanted to give it another read.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So, I'd like to make a motion. I'm going to make the motion to, take 150-1 tax abatement and, statute 150-16 for tax credits as written and have them moved to basically town meeting to be approved going forward.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Any else? We're good. Motion passes. Good to go. All right. And then we have WPCA follow-up. And we've certainly heard a great deal today about WPCA and people's concerns. Jim, I know that you had some concerns and follow-up that you had been asking questions for since our initial presentation in July. So I think we need to decide as a group how we would like to proceed at this point.
I haven't heard Jim's concerns and questions, so
There was a lot of
they
follow-up.
can't have this communication, so
Well, yeah,
can we talk about it?
Yeah,
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a lot of follow-up questions for Steve from his presentation.
I think we all do.
You know, we timed it.
Right.
And since then, I've heard a lot of concerns, and I have a lot of concerns personally about the way we're proceeding. I mean, I know a lot of the folks on the other beach associations and the other WPCAs. And I really don't want to make this personal in any way, because there's nothing to do with anyone, you know, acting in bad faith or malfeasance or anything like that. It's the process itself that I have very serious concerns with. One, when I have to find out about what's going on with the sewer project that Soundview is going to be paying 100% for, I don't want to find out about it from the minutes of other WPCAs, when our own WPCA has not been informed of it. And that's got to stop. And if it doesn't stop, I think we have to review whether we have a WPCA at all, and whether this entire project needs to come under the Selectmen rather than having it on the WPCA. We're told that, you know, no decisions are made in the alliance, although we just had an example of meters coming out of the private beach associations will be removed. This was decided in the alliance. This is not brought before our WPCA. Then we have a cost sharing agreement that says if you exceed your allocation, and some views it's 50,000 gallons, you will be charged. And that's based on the flow coming out of the private associations. Well, the meters go, how do we judge that?
Right.
When you go back to the Woodward and Kern report, everything to do with Soundview is based on the Woodward and Kern 2017 report. Since then, the other private beach associations have been reducing their EDUs. They've been reducing their share by 2%, which is, you know, not a deal breaker, it's significant. But we don't know on what basis that is. And now each association has their EDUs are calculated differently, but the town remains the 2017 Woodward Kern. If we're actually basing things on that report for the town, but not the private beach associations, we see that Soundview, for example, was already, well, the estimated flow out of Soundview was over 50,000 gallons a day. And at that time, Soundview, and that represented 27% of the flow of the entire project. Well, since then, Soundview, and that's what the EDU breakdown was based on. Since then, you know, 2 or more percent has been added to the Soundview share. And looking at the cost sharing agreement, we're already in excess of what Woodward and Kern had to say about it. And if these decisions aren't being brought to our WPCA, but we're going to be signing agreements based on either old information that's not updated or information that doesn't apply for everybody. I don't see how this is going to go well, because now the revolution was fought over taxation without representation. So having this entire project land on, the town share land on the 3 streets of Soundview, there's going to need to be representation. And I won't take up too much time filibustering here, but for example, Steve walked in with 90% design plans last week and put them right there. I said, Steve, can we see them? Send me a digital file. Well, I don't like digital. Okay, you don't like digital. Can you bring it to town hall and copy it? I can look at it. And I've been calling and I've been coming in.
Yep.
Nope. And I've been sending Steve messages 2 weeks later, so no one's seen the 60% design. No one's seen the 90% design. And from what I understand, no one's seen the design in the WPCA. So, and I've heard Steve say, well, this will give bidders an unfair advantage. I've been in projects, where
Right.
you have that. It's actually on people on the websites, it's
Right.
and for us, for the selectmen, not to be able to see the design.
Exactly.
I think we have to review the entire level of the PCA, and having people that care a lot about this project talking about resigning. There's something not right. Something's not right in this whole process.
Well, you know more about the finer details right now. My feeling, having lived around here for a long time, I grew up in Old Saybrook. They were successful with sewer avoidance. I understand it doesn't work for every community, but the way the sewer project is moving forward in this town, I have serious concerns about. Let's just put it that way. And every time there's a change, I know I haven't been given all the information, nor do I have a good understanding of how it even happens based on how long this has been going on. I want to say close to 12 years. And I don't feel that we had a pollution problem. I think we had an administration who asked the DEP to come in and evaluate us. And I think that was the start of the demise of this project. And so I'm not comfortable with it moving forward, especially with everything I'm hearing. And I admire the individual private beach associations. You guys have gotten your act together. Your members are on board. But as far as the town, there is not enough information, and it's having a fall on 3 streets does not make sense.
I'm finding things out in the minutes of Black Shore, minutes by invasion.
Right.
That's the only way I can find out about this.
Right.
And number 2, when I first, we had something that everybody agreed to. There was, I think, no dissent when it was going to be community septic at Cherry Stones.
Right.
And to make it clear, that was going to be expensive. So it wasn't about us.
All of it's going to be expensive.
Everyone in the beaches, from what I heard in the town, knew that money would have to be spent, our personal money. We agreed to that project.
Right.
So this isn't about cost. This is about connecting to an antiquated system into New London that's already at capacity in East London.
That's already has problems. Right.
Showing the pump
Exactly.
station at capacity. When that was rejected by the DEP, the first meeting of the WPCA I went to, public meeting, and we were told it's going to be sewer. We talked about alternatives. They said it's done. They wouldn't even discuss it.
Exactly.
They wouldn't discuss it.
Exactly.
I'm sitting next to someone from SSWPCA that this is the law.
I'm on your page with this.
I'm afraid that right now and that is like, all right, the train's left the station, forget it, we're not going to discuss it, it's going to be sewers. All right, there's no point even discussing it at that point. Now, we're going to be signing documents, we're talking about.
Or not signing.
Talking about a new regional WPCA that's news to us. The only reason it's brought up is I asked Steve about a regional WPCA with New London, because that's what CCOG is. And then that's the first time we heard about this.
Exactly.
Regional that Devin Carney is already working on. So it's like, and I don't want to keep being on the tail end of the train has left the station. And I'm trying to catch the caboose every time with this.
I just want you to know that I have a problem with this regional WPCA because I feel that we the Board of Selectmen and the town of Old owe it to our residents, whether they live in a private beach association or in Soundview, that they should be represented here at Town Hall for anything that they're going to be billed at for. I don't want a group of volunteers responsible for billing. I think that it has to be a paid administrator here at Town Hall.
Absolutely.
We will work those funds into the bills if we need to, or how we work it. But it has to be someone here. If I've heard conversations that the maintenance of the program might be asked to be run by East Lyme. Well, that's fine, but I want someone here in Town Hall who's going to be connecting with the person in East Lyme. I want someone who's going to be a permanent fixture here for people to ask, not volunteers that come and go. I want to know that the fee structure is correct, that it has been voted on here by the Board of Selectmen, that we understand it, and that it is fair, and that they will be represented for years to come as their house passes from one generation to the next. That is the way it has to be. Understand that those people that live in the private beach associations would also like, but I've heard from plenty of them that say, no, we want to be represented by the town. When it comes to billing, we want to be represented by the town. We do not want to be represented by a group of volunteers. So I think that we have to take control of
A lot
that.
of work to do.
It is a lot of work.
Yep.
And I had mentioned this to Steve earlier in the year and said, something that we have to do. Not just something that's just going to happen again. I'm sure everybody has good intentions, but I think that we have to remind them that we need to make the final decision for our residents. So I think my thoughts would be that we need, I don't know, special meeting with the WPCA.
I think so.
I think all of them, not just one representative. I think to hear from all of them. Would that be what you'd want? I mean, do you want
I would
a
like
meeting
to
with the
hear,
alliance members? I mean,
well, I'd like to hear from both, frankly,
okay,
and maybe they can all meet in one room. I mean, I don't know why they're two separate groups if they're working towards the same
A
goal.
meeting with everybody might be
Yes.
a good way to begin, you know, because
Yep.
we've heard about starting an investigation, which we might want to do.
Yep.
You know, other towns, I guess, except just abolished the WPC,
Yep.
brought it into the selectmen, which is something that's going to be on our table too. We need to put everything on the table.
I gotta get Swanbrook done first.
Hey, come on, I read the grant. Come on, we're gonna get a grant.
If we're still on old business, could I ask a question?
Yeah, we're not but ask it, and if we can answer it, we will.
I know our meetings are long. We have a lot to accomplish, and I respect the fact that you had surgery, and I hope it heals quickly. But I have noticed that for 2 meetings now, the selectmen's discussion has fallen off the agenda, and I'd like to see it back on the agenda for future meetings. Because it is one place that the 3 of us can talk that is not deemed an illegal meeting, either through text, telephone, in a hallway, or outside of it.
I will tell you that we cannot, with selectmen's general discussion, we cannot make motions during it because it's not on the agenda. So it's not on the agenda. People do not know it's on the agenda. Therefore, it can be moved to the next agenda, but it cannot be something that we just make a decision on because then the town is not notified that we're thinking about considering it.
Well, that's noted, but it's an opportunity for us me at least, to ask a question. You 2 are allowed to talk because you can caucus. I am not. So
He's
it's
just
time for me that I can speak to you. So thank you.
Okay. Anything else for the
Nope.
good of the cause? Okay, so can I have a motion to adjourn at 7:39?
I'll make a motion.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.